How about you, Paul? Maybe we can come back to Mom.
Yeah, come back to me.
My favorite part was the David Bowie Starman montage.
Oh, yeah.
That was definitely my favorite part of the movie. I'm usually not a big fan of kind of montage sequences in movies, but I love David Bowie.
Yeah.
And I love that song. I thought it was, the whole scene was really
Okay, let's get started. So this is episode 2 of our little Martian before and after analysis with myself, someone who's read the book, Colin, and we had an episode before with my friend Paul, who has not read the book, and we did that before watching the movie. And then since that time, Paul and I have both watched the movie, and in addition to us, we've got my mom here, Veronica, and she has also not read the book and has taken the time this week to watch the movie, and we're going to kind of talk about it for half an hour or something. So welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Great. So I thought I kind of wrote down sort of a few things we can kind of go through in terms of topics of conversation. And the first one, I kind of just wanted to get everyone's story on how they the experience of going to watch the movie. As sort of mundane as that sounds, I thought it might be kind of fun. So, for example, I went to see it Sunday last week, I guess, so a week ago. So, actually, I kind of forgot some of the stuff about the movie. I had to watch the trailer and things again to sort of remember and listen back a bit. And I went with a buddy of mine, Julian, who I play board games with, and one of his friends. And let's see, so the interesting part of my story is that I was on my way to bike down to the theater, but we had left early because we wanted to get good seats for this, because it was the opening weekend, and we figured it might be kind of busy. And what ended up happening is I went outside and someone had locked their bike to my bike.
That's crappy.
I know. I was so angry.
Do you think they did that on purpose?
You know what? I convinced myself that they definitely did that on purpose, and
They're probably
so
they knew
mad
you
at them.
had somewhere to be, so they wanted to.
What the hell?
Exactly. I feel
sorry.
They were they didn't like the way the cut of my jib, and just really wanted to mess with me. So,
Man.
So actually, which is probably not true. I mean, obviously, it was probably just some idiot making a mistake and accidentally locked to my bike.
Okay.
But I was I almost, took the air out of his tires and everything. I was so mad.
Oh dear. That's bike rage.
Yeah, exactly. I was fully road raging at that point. And but anyway, I decided not to do that. I could have easily just used my keys to let out some of the air from his tires. I was like, no, that would be kind of stupid. But I was walking to the theater, and I walked by a hardware store, and I actually crossed the street to see if it was open, to try and or to look to see if they had just a really cheap chain and a really cheap lock. And I was like, oh, if it's still there on the way back, I'm gonna lock his tire up with just a chain and a lock.
Ooh, not good.
But I did. It was closed, and I probably wouldn't have done it anyway. But
I'm glad.
Yeah.
As a mother, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Just spite, not a good thing.
Oh, it was just spite for sure. But yeah, so anyway, then got to the theater, made it just in time to catch the end of the ads and the start of the preview, so really I wasn't late at all, which is great. Julian had already made it there with his friend, and they had saved some seats. And we were in a really big theater. And apparently they didn't get there before most people, and they kind of had to pick whatever was left. But they ended up getting great seats. The theater was so big that we were in the first third of the theater, but that was actually still far enough behind that they were great, and it was a good place to watch it.
Perfect.
So
was it 3D?
Yeah, no 3D for me.
Oh, okay.
How about you?
Mine
Paul?
was
Did
3D.
you do 3D?
Yeah, thought that was par for the course now.
3D?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I did.
Even the standard movies I go to now are 3D. You can't get away from it.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
I actually didn't. I didn't know it was going to be 3D, and didn't really want it to be 3D. I just find that kind of hard on my head
I
at
do
first.
too. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
I got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it distracting sometimes, like the glasses. Sometimes if you're too close or at a weird angle, the glasses make the screen a lot darker than it should be. And if you're too close or too far to the side, I think the 3D doesn't work as well. So
Yeah.
I'm still not a huge fan. Although I did think it was good for this movie, which I did see in 3D.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
what's that?
Sorry, I actually ended up forgetting I had them on and didn't even notice after a while. So I guess this worked really well for this movie.
That sounds ideal.
That is good.
Did you guys? So you guys went. I think you both went on Wednesday. Is that right?
Yep.
You went on Wednesday, Paul?
Yes.
Great. So that was like the next week on a Wednesday. Were there lots of people there in the theater, Paul?
Yeah, my theater was sold out.
It was sold out.
Yeah.
Did you show up early, or was
I
there,
bought
like,
my tickets in advance, and they have this fancy thing here where you get pre-selected seats. So
Oh, no way.
yeah, so you buy just like a theater for any kind of show, you buy your ticket and select your seat, and
That's amazing.
first come first serve. So I bought my tickets a day in advance, got a great seat in the middle, and yeah, it was fine.
Man.
I showed up.
Wait a
pretty
minute.
late.
You said you select your seat, but then you said first come, first serve.
In terms of when you buy your ticket. So
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
That's so
Wow.
good. I really wish they would adopt that everywhere. That's amazing.
gives you the freedom to show up late and still get your great seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was great. I did show up late. I was I took some like personal phone calls at work, like for my girlfriend and stuff, just because she's on the other side of the country right now. So
Yeah.
the time difference, and then ended up having to get something off from work at the end of the day pretty late, and took a cab to the theater, rushing there. Got there on time for the last preview, didn't eat supper, saw the movie. It's great.
Oh man, sounds like we're all like rushing to get to this movie. Like this was kind of
Yeah,
before
I mean,
for everyone.
I really was feeling for Matt Damon when he was starving out there, because I was like, oh, I haven't eaten supper. And it's like
Aw.
9 o'clock at night. Felt like I was starving too.
That's
Could really
hilarious.
empathize.
Well, it's funny how that can happen. I have felt that way before.
So you didn't, and no popcorn then?
No.
Didn't bother with the popcorn. Yeah, me neither. I don't know.
I got popcorn.
You got
That's
it?
I live for the movie popcorn. It seems.
Good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's a
The
good
butter
choice.
anyway. I like the butter.
I don't know. It seems to be the only popcorn I can eat lately.
Oh, do you find it taste different?
Yeah, when I make it myself, it just doesn't seem to turn out well. It's too chewy or something. But movie popcorn's perfect. But I was actually trying to get someone to go with me, and I was willing to go by myself if need be. And as it turns out, Jen, my daughter, Colin's sister, came with me. Tried someone else, but it was last minute for sure. But I was worried it was going to be sold out, and it wasn't. There was plenty of room.
Plenty of room.
Yeah.
Right. So you didn't have to you didn't have to wait in line beforehand or anything like that.
Just for popcorn.
Yeah. Awesome.
But still saw lots of trailers. I see some movies I want to see in the future.
Man, I noticed that too. We had the trailers we had were really like I was going through a roller coaster of emotions just watching the trailers, and I was like, "There's a bunch of movies here that I want to watch now." But yeah, I guess that's probably enough about it. We won't go into trailer by trailer. I don't think at this point. We're like 10 minutes.
Well,
in.
all the cast for Silver Lining Playbook is in a new movie. Did you get that
Yes,
trailer?
I did get that one.
Joy.
And I was just
Oh,
like, this.
Joy was one of them. Yeah.
Joy.
And then
That was the only trailer I did see.
Oh,
Actually.
really?
And there was
I really don't like the music in that trailer. It really bugs me for some reason.
Oh, I didn't even notice. But-
It's like Christmassy. It's like a Christmas version of "You Don't Always Get What You Want," and I just hate
Right. I remember that.
it. Yeah, I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
And what,
thought,
were there two? Okay, sorry. I can't remember if that was the actual movie. Was it Joy that had everybody from with the playbook in it?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper makes an
Yeah.
appearance in the trailer too, I think, right?
Yeah,
Almost
that's right.
looks like a scary movie to me, but
It looks a lot more intense than Silver Linings Playbook anyway.
It does look intense.
But it's like, Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle, and then it's just like, let's make that movie, or like, let's make those two movies into one movie, is what I thought this trailer was.
yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, that you're right. It gave you the same feeling.
Yeah. And all the same people and everything. It's just, I mean, it's almost like, movie by formula kind of thing from Hollywood. Although, that being said, I really want to watch it.
I don't know who
They seem to like each other to work with.
I don't know who the producers are, but I bet it's the same ones for all the movies.
Yeah, I bet you're right. Okay, so maybe let's start talking about The Martian at this point. That was some pretty good preamble. Before we jump into it a little bit, I know obviously Paul and I did that first podcast and we talked about it quite a bit. And Mom, I know you listened to that when I sent it to you like a couple weeks ago or whenever it was. But maybe it might be fun just to have get a synopsis from you, Mom, in maybe like 30 seconds or so, like what this movie was about, if you were going to tell someone about it.
Okay, and this is not usually my genre, so I have to say I really like this movie, as it turns out. And it's about an astronaut who gets stranded on Mars because of a storm. They thought he was dead, so his fellow astronauts left without him. And, of course, he's not dead, and he has to survive until someone can rescue him. And then it's iffy whether or not they can rescue him in time, because he could easily run out of food. The good news is he's a botanist, and a smart botanist, and he tries to figure out a way to grow his own food. But, of course, he has many, many problems, and tragedy is just one problem away, basically. So, anything else you want me to say?
No, that's great. Great synopsis. Yeah, like, Mom, I know you've seen Apollo 13 as well, that Tom Hanks movie, right? And
yeah.
do you remember that scene where they're making or where they're trying to fix the like air filter or something like that, or else they're going to die from carbon dioxide poisoning? And they have like a filter that will work, but it doesn't fit in the the filter slot that they have in the module that they're in, or something like that. And then there's like that scene where they've got all the stuff and they're trying to design to make it work in outer space, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I kind of remember on the ground, the engineers throwing all the stuff down and saying, "Okay, this is what we have. We got to make it."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like one of my like favorite descriptions of this movie, The Martian, was from that guy who does the XKCD comic, which you may or may not be familiar with, but or he does.
No.
He says like he's like that scene from Apollo 13 when they're doing that, and like the other guy's like, yeah, he's just like, well, it's like watching a 2-hour movie that's basically just that scene over and over, kind of thing. Like if you love that, you're gonna love The Martian. And I thought that was so true. It's just like they take that sort of excitement from the technical challenge and then solution, and just make a whole movie about that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the solution was very similar, wasn't it? Or the same, the ricochet or the bouncing back. Oh, we don't want a spoiler alert, do we?
Oh, we can spoil everything. In fact,
oh, we can. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and that was that was a funny scene too, is seeing that guy, in his messy room and waking up after being up and drinking coffee, eating sugar, and trying to figure it out mathematically.
Spitting the coffee into the fence garbage can and just leaks all out everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, so you're talking about the scene where he's that guy, the astrophysicist, who kind of like comes up with the trajectory that the spaceship has to take in order to go back and rescue Matt Damon, when he's describing that to the sort of like heads of the department, I think.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he was really good.
Mm-hmm.
In that. He played like a really, Asperger's guy kind of thing. Just like brilliant, but socially useless.
Yeah, he played it really nerdy.
Oh man.
I don't know if I don't know if I would call him like Asperger's or socially useless. Like he seemed really like, or at least the way they dressed him was like really kind of like modern day hipster young kid,
Okay.
kind of like a punk.
Yeah, I
I
saw
don't
him
know.
more like a student, like a student who had been up all night kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
To me, he was a little cool. He was almost cool, but
yeah.
I
I
don't
thought they
know.
tried to make him look cool, but he was
Okay.
also nerdy.
Yeah, I got it that he was just like did not understand how to communicate with people. Like when they were doing the when they first introduce him and his boss is there, his boss is like, "You realize that I'm your boss, right? And you like have to tell me stuff." And he's just like, "What? Like I don't understand." And then when he's goes in to talk to Kawatelo Ejiofor, and he's like, "You like hang up the phone right now." Like he's just like, "What you're doing isn't gonna work." And the guy's like, "Okay, you have to explain this to me." And then like begrudgingly, after he explains his plan, they're like, "Okay, I guess you have a point," kind of thing. And he's just like doesn't even understand that he's just super abrasive to all these people.
Yeah, and that's to me what makes him cool, and that he doesn't seem to care about what anyone thinks about him. But I see your point. Yeah,
I guess that's true.
but
Yeah,
I think
I thought
maybe
he was a little bit cocky and just like stuck up in his own head about like he wasn't really aware of like the fact that this guy was like the head of NASA and he was talking to him.
Yeah.
I guess nerd is the new cool anyway, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's what I'm
So
learning.
maybe that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was really good. And did you guys find, or for me, I was surprised at how funny the movie was. I thought they did a really good job with just like jokes all the time.
Yeah, and I needed that for that kind of movie. I think that's helped me to enjoy it, no matter what. And I mean, it was a great movie, great story, but it took the heavy seriousness. But I have to say, it was intense for me at times, and I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, please get him.
Oh,
But I
absolutely.
knew that they couldn't easily. Something had to have happened to make this movie
Right.
exciting.
Yeah, actually, so for me, watching the movie, and I kind of want to get input from you guys because having not read the book, I found it started out strong, and I was really interested, and I was like, this is great. I'm getting introduced to all these like, visually to the the hab where he lives and the astronauts in their spaceship and like the people on Earth and who they are. But then once it kind of got in the middle into the stuff in the book that I really enjoyed while I was reading the book, the stuff where he's, making water using the jet fuel and he has to like bring dirt inside and make sure all the right chemicals are in the dirt and he's planting the stuff and, all the sort of troubleshooting he does, I actually got kind of bored during that part, which is kind of like the middle act of the movie. And I wonder if it's just because, I already knew exactly what he was doing because that's really all the book is about. It's just kind of like listing all the things he does in order to solve the problems. But did you guys find that was interesting, or am I not alone in thinking it was kind of boring?
I thought it was pretty interesting. I didn't know where he was going when he was getting in the rover and he went to go find that like radioactive isotope that was going to help keep him warm.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, what's he digging up here and what's he doing? I could see if you already read the book, you're like, okay, get this over with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a few other times, like when he was preparing for that long trip, like I didn't know where he was going, but he was going to find that little space shuttle that he could use. It had that like
The communication
telecommunication
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that was all pretty interesting.
Yeah, I didn't find that boring at all. I found that all very interesting.
Okay.
Just because I enjoy gardening and I love cooking and I love doing recipes, I can easily watch people cook and prepare and even clean, sadly.
And just the challenges of like those things that, would be so easy on Earth but are on Mars, it's just an nearly impossible problem. And to solve that is kind of cool. But yeah, I think it is just that I already knew all that stuff. And Paul, you're right. Like those two kind of reveals, they did the same kind of thing in the book where you didn't really know exactly what he was working towards until he did it, and then you're like, oh, it makes sense, and like it was really satisfying. And I think, yeah, so I think that's something you can't experience twice, and I think that I kind of got bored during the second time.
Could they really do that? Do you think? Like the soil that he was bringing in, wouldn't it be contaminated? Or the dirt, I mean, from Mars?
So apparently it's more or less realistic. I can tell you that the sort of chemical reactions he does, and like using the jet fuel and the oxygen and the hydrogen and the sort of like air separation units that he has in the hab in order to, use all that in order to make more water, which is what he needed in order to plant these potatoes. That was like very well done in the book, and pretty much the same in the movie. A few like minor differences, but still held true to the concepts involved. So, and that's really why I enjoyed the book so much. We kind of talked about that in the last podcast. But yeah, apparently the soil on Mars is like more or less you could do what he did. I think there was like more salt or something in it than that would be kind of a challenge that he didn't address in the movie or in the book. But no one's saying like this is completely impossible.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't know if moon crater dust could do it, or
Right.
I don't know. And other planets, of course, are gassy or whatever, so of course not. But
right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And so and that's why I really enjoyed this book, is because of all the the dedication to trying to show how things could actually happen and like be realistic from like a science perspective. But it sounds to me, Mom, like you just kind of accepted that this was like a science fiction movie, and were willing to say, okay, like I'm not sure if he could actually grow potatoes on Mars, but I'm willing to believe it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
You still found it quite interesting. So obviously,
yeah.
You found it interesting for a different
he definitely brought things up that if I saw potatoes being grown, I'd accept. Yeah, that's how you grow potatoes. You plant seeds in the ground, or you take half a potato, make a seed out of it, and get the soil and the water and the light,
right,
and air, of course, and then you grow a plant.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed that plastic tarp. He had that much plastic tarp.
That's true too.
And at one point, he blew his door off and sealed it with duct tape and a plastic tarp.
Yeah, that was neat. And
that seemed unrealistic to me.
I was wondering if that was going to fail at some point, because it looked pretty like makeshift, but apparently it held.
Yeah, and it's kind of like on Mars, the atmospheric pressure is so low that it's really just has to, like, it's not taking any. It'd be like setting a tent up kind of on Earth, except, well, a little bit more than that, because the internal pressure is actually quite high relative to the external. So it's like blowing up a balloon on Earth, I guess. So it's not like it's a huge structural force that it has to like withstand, because it's just this like bubble kind of thing.
Oh,
yeah, although that kind of there's kind of a hole there where they were talking about like just the storm and the power of like the wind on Mars, which I think we said in the last podcast was a bit exaggerated just for the plot of the movie and the book.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that theory doesn't really hold up if there's giant storms all the time on Mars.
I was really surprised to see so many like tornadoes and stuff that they showed. Like it was really beautiful, but I was like, man, this doesn't feel quite right. And I wonder if like, did you guys buy that, or did you notice that as well?
I was shocked about that. I thought, whoa, I mean, any of those tornadoes could be along his line, and does that happen all the time?
Yeah, that's what I was curious about too. I think I sent you a little a GIF, Paul, of a tornado. Did I do that? I can't remember. On Facebook, maybe.
Maybe.
It's like NASA has like a series of photographs that they took with one of the rovers of one of these little dust devils. So they do exist, and they're quite spectacular to see, because Mars is just it's so dead in terms of like how I think about it, and to see like dynamic weather and stuff is really strange for me.
Yeah, I found it hard to believe that part. Like I really wanted to. It made me question how real that was.
Right.
because there was like, I think one shot where they panned over the horizon and showed like 4 or 5 like little tornadoes, and like we have huge weather systems here on Earth, and like you never see like 5 tornadoes on the horizon.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that was
I
making
was
me feel weird
skeptical.
Although they were showing it from a very high viewpoint, like so it was like not space, but well, when you saw the rover or his what is it? What was he driving?
His rover. Yeah.
When he was driving, it looked like a remote control car, right?
Right.
A lot of the times from above. That one, I had a hard time with that because I felt like I was watching a remote control car. Although whenever they showed it from his viewpoint where he's sitting, it looked like great big mountains around him and so on and so forth.
Right.
So if they were showing it from that height, the size of his vehicle being that small, would you see that out his window? Would he see that out his window, I guess is the question.
Yeah, that's true. Like maybe...
He might only see... Well, he might not see any because they're so far away.
Mm.
Yeah.
And did you... Like, they kind of sort of exaggerated more than what they did in the book, but were you worried that he was going to, like, fall asleep at the wheel when he was driving his thing? And he, like, almost did one time, and you're like, is he going to run into, like, a rock or something? And
I don't know. I wasn't too worried about it.
Okay.
I just thought like it looked like the area he was driving in was pretty much just a desert. So
right.
Oh, I think I was worried about that. I thought, why are they showing that? Because I thought, oh no, something bad's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Because he was getting so. Well, maybe they were showing. How long was he going for? How long did he have to?
Yeah, like months or something. It was a very long trip.
So, oh my goodness.
yeah.
Who would survive that? I don't know. Yeah, that would probably do you in the drive.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna happen too because they showed that, and I was like, oh, is he gonna like? Yeah, he's gonna like flip his rover or something, which actually did happen in the book. That's how I thought they were gonna tie that in, and maybe there's like a deleted scene or something. I wonder where that happens.
How in the world did he get it up again if he did it in the book?
I think he did something cool, like he like buried sand underneath one end and then took the sand away from the other end or something like that.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
something, like how they make the Stonehenge and stuff. He like did something like that. Yeah. Did you guys was it just me or did you find Matt Damon not particularly charismatic in this movie? I thought that the like I really, I loved all the characters on Earth. I thought they were so, I just wanted to be their friends kind of thing. Like they're just really cool people. And then, and all their interactions were just really natural and great. And Matt Damon, I was just found that he was like too sassy, and I was like, I don't really like this guy very much. Or was he or was that like he made a lot of like like gallows humor jokes and stuff, which is kind of endearing, but I thought it was a little bit too much.
I thought he was all right. He didn't have a lot of the movie. He wasn't interacting with anyone. So
That's true.
I kind of like the part where I think it was like one of his first lines after he was stranded. He gets the little piece of antenna that stuck him in him out,
Right.
and then I think he just sits there and just like swears.
Yeah,
and
he's just quiet for a minute. It's there's been like no dialogue for like 2 minutes or something like that, and then he finally has stitched up his thing and he's like sitting back and he's just like, "Fuck," and then then it like moves on to something else. That was great.
That was good.
That was
like
really great.
It seemed real to life. Like I think most people would probably do that.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they probably had to give him a bit of a personality, because when you're by yourself, it is hard to have a personality.
Right.
But actually, my funniest part with him was when you actually didn't see him speak. It's when he was sending a message and they were back and forth, and he, had expletive type. You could tell he was swearing anyway. I found that actually funny.
Yeah.
When he was swearing at them, you bleeping kidding me, that kind of thing.
Right.
I did laugh out loud at
when he was
that.
typing it to them and they were like,
Yeah, when he was typing it to them.
Yeah.
Because I could imagine him, finding out what he was finding out and swearing at it. And I actually found that funnier than hearing him swear.
Yeah. And I think
I thought that was well done.
I like that too. They did a good job with that, the kind of communication between the two of them, or between Earth and him anyway. And it's kind of funny to think how it's all like public as soon as it's like a live feed, and he's so alone, yet everything he says is broadcast to everyone, kind of thing.
Yeah, and they point that out to him, and then he starts going.
It goes off. Yeah, that was great. So I think what you're talking about, Mom Mary, reminds me anyway, if not, when they tell him that they haven't told the rest of the crew that he's still alive. And then
that's right.
And the camera goes like outside the rover, but you can still see in the window, and then you just see him like he's like swearing and stuff, but you can't hear it. And you're right, that was like really funny. But I wonder, I bet that's, they, in order to get like a PG-13 rating or whatever, I don't even know what the rating was on this, but in order to avoid an R rating, I'm pretty sure you're only allowed to say fuck one time, and so that they probably used it up that early, and then in order to like get like more swearing in, they had to like just mouth it.
That was very creative then.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they could have done that easily, but it actually made it more humorous for me, because I can't stand it when they stick them in and it just isn't natural.
Just as like a cheap thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it seemed real, it seemed believable, and if there was no swearing, it'd probably be, I don't know, just like give it a little bit of grittiness and realness that...
It would be Walt Disney if there was no swearing.
Yeah. It would seem very Disney if everything just kind of like went along happily.
Yeah.
I thought Matt Damon did a good job of just kind of acting what he was feeling. Like in the rover where he's kind of falling asleep, like, I mean, it could have been misconstrued as some foreshadowing, but I thought it was great that he's like clearly very tired. It shows how long his journey's been, even if you're not really paying attention to like how many days it's been. You still get the idea that he's like going through a really tough.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
I think we lost Paul for a second here. Let's just.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul. You there?
Yeah, I think we lost you for a second.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I probably needed that because I did forget that he was on. I probably needed that as to show me they're now jumping to a very long time. Because I probably would have thought it was just the same day kind of thing. So.
Yeah, and that's a challenge that I thought they did a pretty good job of overcoming. Was it's like a several year adventure for everyone involved, and you do kind of get that feeling of time passing when they like it, and beyond just the sort of 300 days later kind of thing that they show at the bottom. It was pretty good.
I think it's funny that you said that you would like to be friends with all those people back on Earth. I think like, with the exception maybe of Jeff Daniels, who plays the head of NASA.
Yeah.
Who's kind of the antagonist in the movie, and just kind of like shuts down a lot of the ideas that these brilliant people are coming up with to go and save Matt Damon.
Right.
When I first found out, or when I first realized that it was Jeff Daniels, I kind of cracked up because I was just picturing him from Dumb and Dumber.
Me too. I was too. In fact, what went through my head was, wow, Jeff Daniels is getting a lot of work. And it was not like and same with Wig, I love her too, and she has played serious roles, and so has he, but I can't help but think that they're comedy a lot of the times.
Right.
And but Dumb and Dumber went through my mind. He did well to get away from his typecast.
Oh man, yeah. You know what? And so well that I didn't even recognize him as the Dumb and Dumber guy. That's great though. Just thinking about it now, it's really funny.
Yeah, and Kristen Wiig was really good, and Donald Glover was really good.
Yeah.
And, they're all kind of comedic actors, really.
Yeah. No, they did a great job. I thought Kaiwatel was really funny too. I thought he had the funniest lines in the movie. When he was
and he emoted really well. Like I felt like I connected with him the best.
Right.
Which one was he? Sorry.
He was the black guy who was communicating directly with Matt Damon.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
I think they called him like the what was it, like the trip? I don't know. What they call it.
Yeah, he's like the department head of the Mars missions or something, I think.
It's like the mission. He's like the mission commander or something.
That could be it.
The head of the mission.
Yeah. I really liked. My favorite bits were probably all the parts where all the Earth stuff. I thought was really cool. I loved the kind of like interaction between the different departments. I think they showed that really well. Like between
Which was surprising because a lot of these space movies, that's usually the more boring part.
Right.
Or the interaction between them is.
Yeah, and you really got the sense that these were guys, who are in charge of a huge team, and their priorities ultimately are the same, but they also are focusing on very different things. And you did kind of get the sense of like the challenge of coordinating between like JPL and then the Mars guys, and I really liked that. And even just like showing them flying around to all the different places, like they're not like one guy's in Miami or something or Florida somewhere, and Cape Canaveral probably, I guess, and the other guy's over on the West Coast, and then they ended up going to like China for a bit. And I thought that was really neat. I loved all that stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite parts was when they were, very true to that Apollo 13 scene when they were setting up the rover on Earth, and they were like, okay, how are you going to modify it? And they're like, they had, a guy doing the exact same thing that Matt Damon had to do on Mars, and they were just going like cutting like they'd show like 1 second of the guy on Earth, like drilling out the stuff on top of the thing, and then they would cut to Matt Damon and he'd be doing the same thing, and then they cut back and the guy's like trying to kick in the top thing and he falls through it, and then they cut to Matt Damon and he does the exact same thing.
That was really good.
I love
and
that.
You did admire the hard work that was involved, and that was the engineering part, right? And you did admire that those guys were working their butts off trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I think I missed something in the movie. I wasn't sure why he drilled out the top of his rover. Like, I just didn't know what the advantage of that was.
So he just needed more space. He had to bring a bunch of the equipment in the hab with him on his journey in order to like recycle air and things like that.
Yeah.
So he had to put.
Oh, I thought it was because he needed it to be lighter, and he was just getting rid of weight.
No, for the rover it was like he needed.
Oh, the rover.
Yeah.
Okay, right, rover. Yeah, he needed more space. Yeah.
So did he put stuff up there?
Yeah, they didn't really show it, and it looked like just like a balloon on the top.
Yeah, it looked like an empty balloon the whole time.
It did, kind of. But in the book, that's where all the stuff went. Like he put like his extra batteries and stuff up there, and his like, filters and things and all that junk.
Yeah, because that's what I thought he was going to do, and then I was just like, he's not putting anything up there. Like, why did he mangle his rover?
It's just like it was almost like it was like a helium balloon, right? Like it looked like he was like, I just need it to be a little bit lighter. I'll just tie this balloon to the top.
He was stupid.
Yeah.
They needed to put some stuff up there.
Yeah.
Like he needed to have like a really large object that projected through the roof of his rover.
Yeah, it just didn't fit probably. Like it was just sticking out the sunroof, basically. Is what it
Yeah, that wasn't very well done, I don't think.
Well, I guess that showing with other stuff up there could have been done better for sure. So what were let's just talk about some of like our favorite parts. Maybe not your number one favorite part, but it could be. But just like what are some things that really stick out to you guys? Maybe let's start with Mom there.
Ooh, I might not be the best person to start with. Well, of course, I always like the humor, and then and all those always they're just sort of scattered all over the place. Oh, I don't know. I haven't given it enough thought. One thing I'll just bring up, Jen pointed out, I don't remember a lot of the detail of Lord of the Rings as far as the actors are concerned, but apparently they're I don't know what his title was, but the British guy.
Yeah.
Sean Bean, yeah.
Yeah, apparently he's from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And he called one of the project or what it was they were doing something same as Lord of the Rings.
Right. Yeah, project.
I could see how that would have been funny. I kind of wish I had got that, but she found that struck her as being very funny.
Oh, I wonder if, because that was in the book too. I wonder if they like specifically cast Sean Bean as that just so that he could do that.
Just to make it a little bit funnier. Yeah.
They're like, this is kind of a long play, but we really want to get this Lord of the Rings joke in there.
Yeah,
because it was like they called it the Council of Elrond.
Yeah.
And that was.
And then
funny.
Jeff Daniels said, "I want to be." Well, who did he say he wanted to be?
Oh, I can't remember.
Okay. Anyway, Jen picked up on that, and I thought, well, that would have been really funny, but I kind of missed it because I don't know Lord of the Rings that well. So,
right. How about you, Paul? Maybe we can come back to Mom.
Yeah, come back to me.
My favorite part was the David Bowie Starman montage.
Oh, yeah.
That was definitely my favorite part of the movie. I'm usually not a big fan of kind of montage sequences in movies, but I love David Bowie.
Yeah.
And I love that song. And I thought the whole scene was really well done. The way they were cutting between what Matt Damon was doing on Mars and the progress they were making on Earth with NASA.
Right.
And just like everything coming together, they were setting the supply ship up.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about like that montage format is that whenever like a montage starts and you hear the music kind of crank up, you know that like this massive hole in the plot is about to get like resolved. And so there's kind of like this huge point of uncertainty where you're not sure if everything's going to be okay or not, and then like the music starts cranking up and you're like, oh, like everything's going to be fine in the next 3.5 minutes.
Don't
everything
worry.
will be resolved.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like 3.5 minutes later, the song's over and you're just like, oh, they're like sending them the supplies and they're like on their way to go rescue him, and we're nearing the like, you know, the third act of the movie kind of thing.
Right.
So
yeah, that was really good. And yeah, like that was kind of how they dealt with the whole like, you know, traveling or having to jump such long periods of time, was kind of like with montages like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe even that scene where they're jumping on the top of the rover to break through might have been part of the montage as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's what I was thinking of too. Yeah.
Anyway, I love the song choice.
That was good.
Really appreciated that.
Which one was it? I forget.
So that's the David Bowie.
Oh, the David. Sorry,
Starman by Bowie.
Yeah, right.
Which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and I got excited in that part too when they kept going back and forth. So I have to. It probably was the same, Paul.
Yeah. So another part that I really liked, maybe like my favorite shot of the movie, is when he's like, he got in the other spaceship and he's jetted up and he's like, they like, you know, had already piloted it up into space, and he's just sitting there in this like completely gutted module, and it's spinning, and they have that shot from inside the module looking out, and it's so disorienting, and he's like, you know, just woken up from passing out from all the G-forces, and he has to like, you know, deal with this crazy crisis too, and he's also, you know, spinning like crazy, and I just thought that was so nuts and so disorienting. I was like getting dizzy just watching it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be like 3D must have been even better for that.
Oh, was that crazy, Paul, in 3D with that? Did you notice?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was well done. There's definitely like I love the way you could see Mars in the background spinning, but the camera was trained on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great.
The space stuff, all that space stuff at the end must have been like, that's the one part of the movie where I probably would prefer 3D, because that must have been really spectacular.
I was wondering, like, would you get into a like out of control spin like that in orbit, or would the act of orbit like put you into some kind of like homeostasis where you're kind of like locked in with like some, I don't know, like heavier part of your ship closer to the planet?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was. I don't think there's anything like that would necessarily make you do that. Like, there's no air resistance, right? So it's not like it would just right itself from, you know, the path of least resistance. Like the surface of least resistance wouldn't just like naturally go for it or anything like that.
No.
But it was probably like that whole, like launching that rocket up was such like a, you know, such a risky maneuver that they, you know, really just flying by the seat of their pants at that point. They had to change the spaceship so much and like throw the tarp on the front. That was so crazy.
That was, to me, that whole part was intense. That's where I was on the edge. I was stiff and I was on the edge of my seat, and I wanted it to almost be over.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you mean. I was really worried too. I was nervous. I knew he was going to be okay, but I was like, this is just so crazy.
Yeah. I don't know how that could. And they did the math and said it worked, but then they were always a little bit off. And
yeah, exactly. Like, how much do you like? They can't even see it. Like, they can't see pictures of it. He can't send pictures of the thing back for them to look to make sure he did everything right or anything. Like, he just has to make sure that he followed all the directions perfectly, and also that even following all the directions perfectly, that the engineers did the calculations right, and everything's going to work out.
It was crazy that it just seemed like there was so much air resistance on the shuttle, and it was just covered with a piece of plastic, which eventually ripped off.
Right.
Was it the same in the book?
Yeah, so that did happen in the book too, and they didn't really explain it in much detail in the movie, but that was the reason why they were so far off of what they were expecting. Is that tarp was supposed to stay on the whole time while he was rocketing up, and it fell off partway through, and that kind of changed the drag enough that the pilot couldn't compensate for it, and they were off by a couple kilometers or whatever it was.
Yeah. I can't imagine they'd think that would stay on.
Right.
It's being thrown up into space and having a tarp with duct tape holding it.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Right. Yeah, I liked Matt Damon's kind of monologue about that, where it's just like, they keep telling me that I'm going to be the fastest guy ever to go fast, kind of thing, and because they know I'll like that. Like, physicists don't use words like fast when they're talking about rockets, but it's just like I do kind of like it, so I guess that's going to be okay.
Yeah, that humanized it for sure.
Yeah,
you could tell they're really playing to his kind of
his ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, he's got to do it. It was what a crazy plan too. That was so exciting. I was very excited for.
That's dedicated. That's dedicated to your career or your craft or your.
Oh, it was his only chance too, right? Like.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And then he also put a hole in his suit to project himself forward. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, I love that too. How jarring it was when he was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And he just cuts a hole and immediately it's completely out of control. I thought that was really funny and scary at the same time. But it did end up working pretty well in the end. That was something different from the book. In the book he considered doing that, but they decided not to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they were able to reach him?
I think what happened was they cut the cable or something and just went out without the cable being attached to them. I think that was the daring move, but obviously for the movie they decided that him doing the Iron Man thing was more exciting.
Speaking of cables, I thought the scene where they put the explosive charge on the front of the shuttle to slow it down, I thought that was really weird that the astronaut outside didn't have a cable.
Oh yeah,
Me
he was
too.
Climbing over everything.
Yeah,
me too. Just catching things.
I was just like, what's he doing?
Yeah. Well, he had to travel really far for some reason, right? I think that's what it was. He had to go all the way to the other end of the spaceship and on the outside for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, but in any spaceship, you would think that the cable would be long enough to service any part of the ship.
Right.
Or at least you have two, and you kind of like the Trigo thing where you click on one while you're taking off the other.
Well, I'm sure that he was, violating the procedure for that and was just like, I don't have time for all this. I got to get to the other side of the ship, which I found.
I just thought that was the weirdest thing, that he wasn't tethered.
Yeah. And
that was scary.
Yeah.
It's
I agree.
It's space. If you let go, then you're just gone forever.
Right. I wonder if he had a little jetpack on.
Yeah, I don't know. He's climbing on everything.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, no, you're right. And that's another part where I was really, worried for the character, was just you get that fear of heights going in you when you're seeing the planet 100 miles below you. Yeah,
he wasn't a big character to me at first, so I really thought we were going to lose him. I thought, we're losing someone here. Any other movie, you would have lost him.
Yeah.
Disposable characters.
Yeah.
You just see him falling towards Mars. That'd be so bad. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, Paul, would you ever read this book, having seen the movie?
I probably wouldn't read the book.
Yeah, just because you already know the story and everything.
I know the story. I find it hard to read something if I know the story already.
Yeah.
So I typically prefer to keep my reading and my watching separate.
Yeah.
Try to expand my horizons as much as possible.
Good strategy. I think that's the right call. I don't think that it was masterfully written or anything like that. I really enjoyed it for the plot.
Yeah, I am. As I said before, it's not my genre usually of movie or book, but I have to say, I'm semi-interested in picking up this book after seeing the movie.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like I said, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching the movie. Although I feel like I've had too much Martian stuff in my life from all that I'm doing, and I've kind of been like paying closer attention on Twitter and everything to the actors and the author and everything, just to have stuff to talk about, I guess.
That was great timing, really, for the movie to come out because they found liquid water.
Oh yeah.
Or fresh water. I don't know what it was called. Almost at the same week as when the movie came out.
Yeah, so. You're right. Mars was in the news for sure.
Yeah. So, and Matt Damon, of course, was on Ellen, and I do watch Ellen, and he was great on there too.
Yeah.
So, and then I saw him before I saw the movie, so made it a little more interesting because I didn't really know anything who was in it or whatever.
Yeah, did you watch a trailer before you watched the movie, Mom?
By accident. I was actually thinking of, I wanted to find out what time the movie was playing up in our theaters through here, so I Googled it, and that's where I saw the trailer. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched the trailer.
Right. Yeah. I guess you kind of heard us talking about it too. So,
yeah. So I did get a little bit, yeah.
Cool.
But the trailer was good, for sure. It did make me want to watch the movie.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's... So the movie itself made $100 million the first weekend and had like a budget of about $100 million, so it did, it's going to do well. I think it's like the biggest sci-fi movie... I forget exactly what it was, but it was, it's in some category, it's like the biggest movie for a long time. And I think Gravity was the movie that had it before or something like that, which I still haven't seen.
Gravity.
I still haven't seen that either.
That's the one with,
who's in that one?
George Clooney and is it Julia Roberts?
Yeah, I think so.
No, is it? No, isn't it? Oh, maybe. Or it's not. What's her name? She had she won an Academy Award for. Oh, what's her name?
Not like, is it possible it's Julianne Moore? I actually can't remember who it is.
No,
I thought it was Julia Roberts.
Dark hair. She.
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock.
I think that's actually right.
Well, but she was in a movie by her. Yeah, that's it. It's Sandra Bullock, and I did see that movie. I didn't enjoy it.
You didn't like it? I think that one you might have to see in the theaters too, in like IMAX or something.
Yeah. Well, she was up for an Academy. She didn't win it for that one.
Right.
And I thought, no, I just didn't really enjoy that movie. But probably because I didn't really appreciate all the space stuff in it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if it came back to IMAX, I might go see it, just because I heard how intense it was in terms of like they really made the stuff come out of the screen at you.
Maybe, yeah. Which is
one criticism I've heard of the movie Gravity is that the movie ends with some of that like classic man saving the woman kind of plot.
Oh, sure.
Conclusion.
Yeah.
And I guess like in some groups that was considered to be kind of
just like a cop out kind of thing.
Yeah, just kind of like
she'd been doing so well the whole time. I thought that was the story too, though, is that she wasn't actually like a experienced astronaut, and like George Clooney was up there and he was kind of the veteran, but he wasn't able to directly help her. He just had to like walk her through everything or something. I don't remember. Maybe you can tell us about it, Mom, but you probably watched it so long ago you don't.
You know what? I don't even remember the ending. That's how little it stayed with me.
Did
so
not impact you, yeah.
No, unfortunately. But sometimes when I do things again, I appreciate them more.
Yeah.
But I probably won't.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
Closing remarks. I don't
Closing
know. I thought there was a
remarks.
couple like hurdles in the movie that I thought were portrayed pretty interestingly, like the food rationing. Like I think that would be so hard.
Oh yeah.
And they show like a very brief clip of Matt Damon from the back, which is probably a body double, and he's really skinny.
Yeah.
I thought they did a great job on that.
Yeah, that they brought that up, I think, on Ellen. If I got the correct movie, because he's actually doing other movies that were sort of space related, and he had to be working out kind of thing. But he couldn't. He had to be really skinny, right, because of after all that. And I think they used a Russian a ballerina.
Oh
body
really?
double, if that's the correct movie, if I understood that correctly.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That sounds right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of figured it was a body double just the way they were shooting it. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, actually, another really funny part was when he was like, "Yeah, I ran out of ketchup a couple days ago. Just like, so I'm gonna dip these potatoes in Vicodin."
He looked so pissed.
It's like, this is so bad.
I would be pissed too. He was using a lot of ketchup though at the start. Like
He was like, I thought, how would you even have that much ketchup?
Yeah, pretty reckless with the ketchup. He wasn't rationing the ketchup very well.
He really
No.
wasn't. He needed that ketchup. Another item I thought was interesting was like the trajectories of not only just like intercepting Mars at the right time, but intercepting the right like latitude and longitude of catching Matt Damon like as he comes out and is orbiting Mars. Like just being in the right spot in orbit, I think would be a really hard thing to do.
Right.
And I don't know how easy that is to do for NASA. I mean, they obviously send supplies up to the space station, but that's definitely a little bit less impromptu than what they were doing here in this movie. So I just thought that was like an interesting concept that made me think.
Yeah, I liked how much importance they put on Donald Glover and his like astrophysics or whatever, the trajectory stuff. Like they're like, yeah, this is actually like really hard, and you need kind of a superhero to solve it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is this like brilliant grad student type character. So yeah, I'm glad they kind of did that, and they were just like, oh, we have to go back, and they're like, turn the engines around, like that'll be that easy. They like actually had to, enter in and then get those instructions to the crew. Like they couldn't calculate it themselves.
Yeah.
Well, and then they did, but I got the impression they did calculate to see if they got the same numbers, and they did.
Oh right, yeah. Well, they checked like he did like a check on it or something.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That I was impressed and admired all those types of jobs that all those people take on for sure.
And the fact that just thinking about a project like this, how many people are involved and how important every step is, interfacing between people and sub projects must be so challenging.
Yeah. Not much sleep for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Another really cool concept I thought was the spinning section of the spaceship that had gravity.
Oh yeah.
That was a really neat inclusion in the movie.
Yeah.
Which I think is like something we've seen on other movies before, probably, but I just thought they did a good job of that.
Oh yeah. Always
was that in the book as well?
I think so. They don't talk a huge amount about the Hermes in the book. Like, there's only a couple scenes in it. Even in the movie, there's only a couple scenes there, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure they had the gravity thing as well.
Do you have any idea if that's something that like NASA wants to do for spacecraft?
I haven't ever seen one that actually had that. Like that, obviously the space station doesn't have a spinning part, right?
No.
But I mean, it's pretty well accepted that that's like how you'd solve the having gravity in space problem kind of thing, or simulating gravity in space. And you see, like you said, you see it in all kinds of movies. Like I think 2001 is probably the earliest one that I remember where they have that. Yeah, and going from the zero gravity module to the spinning bit with the simulated gravity, I thought that was cool how they did that.
That was a neat shot, eh?
Yeah, and they would like gradually get heavier as they go down the ladder, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. The Hermes itself was just so fun to see in the movie because it was just such a cool spaceship.
Yeah, it was a really cool spaceship. And I thought it was like built in a way that kind of looked believable. It wasn't too like futuristic looking. Like it looked like something NASA could possibly build in the next like 50 to 100 years or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So who is there? Do you think that's somewhere out there right now? Like someone's actually made that design?
I don't know how far along they are in terms of because there must be at some early design stage for Mars spaceship, Mars going spaceships, because they're like NASA's official timeline is in like the 2030s. They're planning to have like a manned mission to Mars.
That's crazy.
So somewhere in NASA there's someone who's like designing that spaceship right now.
Did you catch Quirks and Quarks? I don't know if it's still called that, with Bob McDonald on CBC. They were talking about Mars. That was the other coincidence that I think it's because of the water. There was a whole show on this, and I was doing house stuff, so I was sort of in and out. I just caught 2 of his interviews with people and not the whole thing. One seemed really serious where, they're talking about it needs to be cheap, or on budget and on time. And, it was all sort of legit. And then he spoke with another fellow who almost said that, I don't know who he was, but it just seemed so far-fetched. He felt that we actually had to change humans so that they could survive on Mars.
Oh, really?
And we'd have to start out underground.
Yeah.
And then eventually change something speed up our evolution so that we could live on Mars.
Oh man, that's kind of
And then
scary.
Bob said, well, do you think that a lot of people, I forget how he worded it, but in other words, he was sort of saying, well, this is kind of far-fetched. Do you think people will take you seriously? And he kind of jumped back and said, oh, it's very interesting that you say that. But, yeah, and bottom line, it was yes, he felt he should be taken seriously. But whoa, anyway, I'm sure that there's a podcast of that, but it was kind of neat that there were so many things, because I had to think about going to the movie. All these Mars things came up, including seeing, Matt Damon on Ellen. But of course it made sense because the movie had just come out.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, so it's not just me because I really got the feeling that this movie was pushed quite hard, like maybe harder than other movies generally, or it's definitely one of the bigger movies of the year as far as I can tell.
Well, I think what was kind of cool is that there was coincidentally real Mars stuff happening that was in the forefront.
Man, how lucky was that for them?
Yeah, you couldn't have better advertisement for your movie.
Yeah, hot topic.
Hot topic for sure. Yeah, I'll have to check again on the budget or the revenue numbers and see how it did that way. But I don't know. I don't really have any business talking about like the awards or whatever because I have no idea how that works. But I don't immediately think of this movie as like an award-winning movie at the Oscars or anything. But who knows? I know nothing about how that works.
Yeah, that acting didn't really jump out at me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they all did a fantastic job, and actually, that's the kind of acting I really enjoy. But I don't know how the Academy works either, other than they seem to pick different topics. Something that's sort of.
And honestly, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe one of the supporting roles will get some kind of award or a nomination.
Right. Yeah.
Or technical, or the technical.
Oh yeah, they'll
part.
probably get for like visual effects or something. It'll probably end up in one of those categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not music.
Yeah.
Although there was "Rock the Boat" song, that brought back good memories for me. All the others, I remember them, but doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside. But the "Rock the Boat" song did.
Oh, all the disco stuff that he was listening to.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, not crazy about disco for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I I guess there was definitely a reason why they kept that in. That was a storyline in the book as well.
Oh.
But yeah, I was like, oh man, we're gonna have to get through so much disco in this movie.
It lightened it. It definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't too much.
Yeah.
It wasn't the worst.
No.
All right, guys. Well, we've been going for just over an hour. I think yeah, we had a few minutes preamble with Mom while we were waiting for Paul to get on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks so much for doing this with me. And Paul, I don't know, we got to come up with a new topic now if we're going to do another one of these, because I feel like we've talked too much about the Martian already.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll stay tuned and see if we can come up with some new topic.
Yeah. One thing I did that was kind of fun was I recorded a little like the conversation we had with those guys like Julian and Jeremy that I went to watch the movie with, just as like I was going to use it as kind of like a little segment in this, but didn't bother to like get on the computer and figure out how to get it so you guys could all listen to part of it too, and it's not all good anyway. But anyway, yeah, interviewing people is surprisingly fun. Even if it's just like really informal, like it was, where I just kind of like we just like went to a pub across the street, and between ordering our food and the food arriving, we just like talked about the movie for a few minutes. But it was pretty fun. So I feel like if we just like get more people, and yeah, like having Mom on here, that was great, Mom. Thanks for doing that.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed the assignment. I felt like, okay, I got to go watch this movie. It's my homework, and it felt good to actually have something like that hanging over me in a way.
Oh man, yeah. If nothing else, I think this is just a great idea to, have a phone call every couple of weeks kind of thing with friends.
Yeah, gets me out more too.
Right.
Thanks a lot for joining us.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Good to hear your voices.
Okay, guys. I think we're gonna end it then. I don't know if I'm gonna use the same theme song as we did the first time. I think it was pretty cool, but
I like that.
I thought it was great. I would nominate Starman for this episode.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, all right. I'm going to signal the end of the podcast then, and cue the Starman.
See you later.
Bye.